A quick note before we begin, Kane finished editing this video and then sent it to me, and then some stuff came up and I forgot that I hadn't posted it yet. That's why in the video I mentioned that it's been under 2 weeks since the release of the movie, even though now it has been more than 2 weeks. However, the official figures still haven't changed that much, not sure if it's slowing down or what, but yeah, the information in this video is still pretty accurate, it is still relevant, and I'm still posting it. Thank you, I love you. The Super Mario Galaxy movie is performing well at the box office. Now I can hear you already, right? You're saying Arlo. That is not surprising. Of course it is performing well at the box office. And to that, my response is you are correct. Definitely. This movie was always going to perform well at the box office, and indeed it is. Variety reported that it has already earned $629 million worldwide, and that was just when they report. It's probably been a couple of days by now since they've said that. So that would have been well under the 2-week mark. Well under 2 weeks. You know, its first weekend was really, really good, but then its second weekend was also really good. You know, it seems to have legs. So at the time of this recording, we are still under the 2-week mark. And yet, yeah, like I wouldn't be surprised if it's past 700 million by now. That is quite a lot of money. The budget of the movie was $110 million, but as usual, we have to consider that the marketing budget would have been very high too. I think like the rule of thumb is you take a movie's budget and you kind of double it for the overall budget. I feel like it has to depend on the movie and its actual budget. But yeah, like if the budget of just making the movie was 110, you could, if you wanted really roughly to say that with all the marketing cost 200, possibly. So yeah, it's doing pretty well. If it's not even been 2 weeks and we're already at the point now where like it could stop selling today. Like they could take it out of theaters right now, right this second, and they'd still make a good $500 million. You know, like it's gotta feel nice, you know, especially for like the executives who greenlight this stuff and manage all of this. You gotta just a real sit back in your chair and sigh kind of moment where it's just like no matter what happens, it is a big success. It has made us a whole bunch of money. But yeah, presumably it's gonna keep getting rears in seats for at least a bit longer. I don't know how long they plan on keeping it in theaters, but it's doing well. And even though it is not surprising that it is doing well, it is turning a profit for Nintendo, etc. Personally, I am still just a little bit surprised. Just a little, okay? Like, again, I knew it was gonna be a success. But there was kind of part of me that was preparing for it to do less well than it is doing, just for like a number of reasons. Mostly, I just thought, you have the Mario movie, it's a big event, everyone who's played Mario throughout their lives, they want to go and see the movie, it's this big thing. So going into the sequel, it's just kind of like, I feel like you're gonna have diminishing returns. You know, like how many people realistically didn't see the first movie, but are seeing this one? It just doesn't seem like that would be a whole lot of people. I would think that you'd get your crowd seeing the first one, and then there were a good number of people who just didn't really like it that much, and so then going into the second one, you lose a lot of that audience. I mean, it's often the same thing with movies as it is with games, or just kind of anything. The first thing does however it does, and then beyond that point, you kind of just lose people, or at least like you can, unless the sequels like grow the thing. But you know, like it's Mario, this isn't an obscure thing to like grow a fan base for. It's Mario. So yeah, I was kind of preparing for less, and then also like I kind of thought word of mouth would hurt this movie more than it has. Like, I don't know, there is this sentiment that most people share. You know, I saw it in a billion of the reviews. It's just like, this is a terrible movie, but it's definitely gonna make $1 billion anyway. Like, everyone's gonna go and see it anyway. And I just don't think I always believe that. You know what I mean? I don't like to assume, especially the older I get, and the more often I am just wrong about things. I don't like to make assumptions like that, assume that something is gonna do well. Because I really do think you reach a point where, like, if the word of mouth is bad enough people are just like, yeah, I'm not gonna bother. Like, I don't know. I feel like it's got to have some sort of an impact. I know it's a little bit different here because just like with the first movie, the critic reviews and the audience reviews do not always match up. You know, the critics, they see a lot more movies. They're not as invested in Mario, so they're like, this stinks. But then the audiences are like, this is great. What are you talking about? This is a silly, fun movie, you know? So that's like definitely happening here. You know, I'm sure there are plenty of people who are going in and just having a good time, you know, and of course, like kids are enjoying it and stuff. I was just kind of preparing myself for it to have something of a, like, I didn't know if, like, the opening, of course, was going to be great, but I didn't know if the word of mouth would kind of hurt its legs. You know, word would get around that it's not a very good movie or whatever. But no, I don't know. At least at the moment, it seems I had nothing to worry about. It is doing very, very well. I mean, okay, saying that, ultimately, we don't know how much it's going to gross overall because the first one grossed like well over like 1.1 something billion dollars. So if this grossed 900 million by the end, then that is still technically a diminishing return. You know, again, it could just be the fact that it's a sequel. So that's like, that still technically could happen. Yeah, I really don't know. I don't know what is expected. I'm so used to the world of video games where like the first like 2 days is like 95% of like the lifetime sales. So the world of movies, like movie ticket sales, I don't follow that nearly as closely. So that's still kind of like, oh, like it did well during its opening weekend and the second weekend? Like what? That's strange to me for a thing to have legs for entire weeks after release. Weird. So yeah, I really don't know what is expected long term. And of course, like it's about like how long they want to keep it in theaters. You know, like the Mario movie was almost the highest grossing animated film of all time, but then they were like, yeah, we're done with that though. We're just gonna, put it on streaming. We don't know when they want to pull it from theaters and stick it on streaming because like obviously they're not actually like trying to like beat the records, because it like costs them money to like have it in theaters and everything, they're not gonna like upset their plans to like keep it in theaters extra long just so they can cross over that dollar amount and say that they broke the record. Ultimately, it's just like whatever they gotta do to make the most money, however long they gotta keep it in theaters, whenever they gotta put it on streaming services or whatever. But at least for now, it's doing well. At least for now, word of mouth does not seem to be hurting it too much. The fact that it's a sequel does not seem to be hurting it too much. Yeah, 629. I think I forgot to mention, yeah, that puts it, depending on the source, I'm getting conflicting information here, but I've seen some sources say that that makes it the highest grossing film of the year so far. But I'm also seeing that it is the second highest grossing film of the year so far. I don't know, it's one of those two. At the very least, it's the highest grossing animated film of the year so far. Yeah, I am really curious to know where it's gonna land by the end, but we will just have to wait and see. As a reminder, I did put out my review of the movie. If you would like to watch a review of the movie, I did that. If you haven't seen it, sorry, I already spoiled my opinion on it, but yeah, it's a pretty bad movie that I really enjoyed watching. That's the summary. It ain't good, but I did like it an awful lot. And actually, I'll give you a quick update. I saw it on release day, so I could like make my video and stuff, but then I ended up taking my nephew to see it for his birthday, so I got to see it a second time, and I kind of thought that like, once all of like the nostalgia fun, all the references, like once that had been like used up, the novelty was gone, I thought I would enjoy the second watch through a lot less. I still liked it though. It was still fun. Yeah, no, it was still a good time. It's still just dumb fun for the eyeballs, the visual spectacle and all the galaxy stuff and everything. Yeah. It was a little hard because I hadn't posted the review yet, so there was part of me that wanted to like go in and like throw in like extra details and stuff, but I don't know, you gotta stop talking about a thing eventually.